Thank you. Welcome everybody to the September 9, 2025 regular meeting of council. I would like to call the meeting to order at 5:31 p.m. And I'd like to call upon Councillor Feeblecorn to read the land acknowledgements, please.
I'd like to acknowledge that the rural municipality of St. Andrews is located on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Dakota and Dene peoples, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. We respect the spirit and intent of treaties and treaty making and remain committed to working in partnership with First Nations, Inuit people in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration.
Thank you. Item 3, adoption of the agenda. Be it resolved that council adopt the agenda as amended with the addition of the following items. Under new business 12.3, September 15th, 2025, committee of the whole meeting cancellation. 12.4, Sault St. Andrews Cops Volunteer Appreciation Event, Saturday, September 20th. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Slaker, seconder, Councillor Hunt. All in favor? Carried. Now I'll start with the planning, open the public hearings. Welcome everyone to the planning portion. The hearings will proceed as follows. RRPD staff by Ms. Esmond will present the application. The applicant will make a presentation on the application. Those registered in support will make a presentation, and then those registered as opposed will make a presentation. The applicant will then have the opportunity to respond to comments or concerns raised by council or presenters. At the end of each presentation, council may ask for clarification, but will not enter into debate. Please note that all persons speaking must address the chair one at a time. You will be called upon. At the end of the presentations, council will close the public hearing. Once the public hearing is closed, there will be no more presentations accepted on the matter, and discussion will be amongst council, not the audience. Council will then consider each matter separately and provide a decision. So thank you. We will now proceed. Open public hearings, item 4.1. Be it resolved that council is hereby open the public hearing for the following planning application scheduled for September 9th at 5:30. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Dornbos, seconder, Deputy Mayor Marecki. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. The first item is conditional use number 372025, 126 Sawchuk Drive. Madam Clerk, could you proceed, please? Thank you, Madam Mayor.
So this is a conditional use application CU37-2025 located on 126 Sawchuk Drive, and purpose of that application, that applicant is seeking a conditional use extension to continue to operate a recreation commercial use micro venue in the RR rural residential zone. As per zoning bylaw of St. Andrews, in RR zone, the recreation and commercial activities are conditional. That's why they're asking a conditional approval continuance and for micro venue. Here we can see the air location map of the subject property and applicant's site plan showing the exact place of the micro venue. And conditions of approval. Should council wish to approve this application, the RRPD recommends the following conditions. This conditional use is limited to what is presented. Any other changes will require a new variance, a new conditional approval. An applicant owner obtains all required permits from us and municipality if required. The hours of operation shall be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday between 9 and 11 p.m. To exterior storage of materials or equipment no exterior storage of materials or equipment shall be permitted except during scheduled training operations. All signage shall be in accordance with the RM zoning bylaw. Use of the property must adhere to the municipality's noise bylaw as well. Vehicle parking associated with operation must be contained on site as per approved site plan that must adhere to requirements of the RM zoning bylaw. Any parking along Sawchuk Drive will not be permitted. Applicant only to obtain an annual business license from RM. The sale, distribution, or consumption of the alcohol is not permitted on the site during the event unless the required permits are obtained from Liquor, Gaming, and Cannabis Authority of Manitoba. The wedding venue must include sanitary disposal services, portable washrooms, and cleaning stations. And the conditional approval is valid until December 31st, 2030. Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's all.
Thank you, council members. Do you have any questions of honor? Okay, hearing and seeing them. The applicant, there's three people here. Amanda, Jen, or Alex. Who's the yeah? Would you like to speak?
Would you like me to come forward? Or?
Yes, please, because it's on YouTube, so then that might fix it up.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor and members of the council. Happy to be with you this evening. My name is Amanda. The property in question is my own. I am here tonight with my friend and contractor for the business, Jen Leashine, as well as my neighbor Alice. And would like to tell you a bit about the business that we've been running for the last couple of years and ask for your permission to continue to do so. So as mentioned, we run a micro wedding venue from my property. To us, micro wedding means not more than 60 persons in attendance. Our typical events are smaller than that, closer to 25 to 40. Small weddings, so far our weddings have all ended by 9:30 p.m. We host these ceremonies outdoors with bench seating facing a sort of treed area with the field behind it of some vacant land. And we host receptions in a white wedding tent that we set up on the property for these events. It was listed in the conditions that we would need to provide portable washrooms and cleaning stations. And you may not be aware at this time, but I did want to mention in the garage of my property, there was an existing washroom facility with its own separate septic holding tank. It needed a little bit of cosmetic polish, being a garage washroom. However, it is fully functional and designated for wedding guest use. So we don't bring in porta potties or that sort of thing because we do have a washroom on site that they can use. We have had a wonderful couple of years hosting and sharing my beautiful property and getting to, we have really just enjoyed this. It has been fun and a good creative outlet and a good side project. Jen is a wedding photographer. I was already a marriage commissioner, and when we put our heads together, we thought, this is perfect. Why don't we just have a wedding venue and see where it goes? And we have loved what we're doing. So we would love to continue with your support. We're asking only for minor tweaks to the original plan that we had proposed. Initially, we were approved for 5 events per year that would have alcohol permits through the LGCA. We're only looking to increase that to 10. Again, I don't want this to become my full-time job, nor do I want every weekend of the summer to be taken up with weddings, but this just gives us a bit more flexibility. We're also looking for approval to go until 11 p.m. Previously, we were approved until 10 p.m. We had asked for 10 p.m. That wasn't a condition set by the council. Going to 11 gives us just a little bit more flexibility, especially if we're going to be tearing down, and is in line with the local noise ordinances. As you may note from our application, there haven't been any complaints about noise or otherwise in the last couple of years. So we feel like we're doing a good thing and being respectful to our community, but certainly appreciate any feedback if there is any. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Council members, do you have any questions of the applicant? Councilor Georgos?
How many people come to the wedding venue typically on these days?
Not more than 60.
So 60 people using the garage bathroom.
Actually, happy to tell you that the families and wedding parties, including the couple, they actually get ready in my home. It's a 3-washroom home. And so women are generally upstairs, men are generally downstairs, and so they have access to those facilities also. So it'd be 4 washrooms in total that can be used on site during weddings if necessary.
Are you the one asking for 5 years there, or does the plan work with that in?
I'm the one asking for 5 years. I didn't know I had the option of asking for no date at all.
Okay. I think that would be the case because you've already done a 2-year trial.
Well, thank you.
And as council knows, conditional uses can be pulled at any time
Mhm.
due to any kind of circumstances that the RM seems deemed necessary. So
Yeah.
I would like to see that condition on when we come to approve it, if that's the case.
And we also know there's never been an issue with anything here, no infractions. Very respectful, so thank you.
Oh, well,
Are there any other questions by council?
And also, when we come to it, removing the word portable washrooms then, because if you've got sanitary services on site that are satisfactory, that would be sufficient. I believe so. Thank you.
Also, we'll just item 10, remove portable washrooms, sanitary disposal service. Councilor Hunt?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
When we get to it, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Jan Leschide, is there anything you wish to add?
Hi, everyone. As Amanda mentioned, I am her main subcontractor for her wedding venue business. I serve as the residential photographer, and yeah, handle all those meet and greets with couples, site tours, all of that nature. I just wanted to, kind of touch on what Amanda mentioned, that this is that avenue for us that's purely joy-filled, and for it to stay joy-filled, we like limiting the amount of weddings that we do per year. To see the sustainability of this project, we don't want to go into burnout. We don't want this to be scaled to a full-time venture. So we think the safeguards we have in place, how niche we are as a wedding venue, kind of sets that up to, do a couple a season. We're looking to maybe have that modest growth, like we said, moving closer to that 10 event mark. Anything beyond that, I think we're always willing to step in and be like, okay, no, we're satisfied to be at capacity for the year of the events that we want to do. It's just that little bit of extra fun and joy for us to provide an exceptional experience to people that don't want to have the big banquet hall wedding. So I just would want to add that there is no intention here to have this be full-time, to have it be scaled larger than it really currently is at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Council members, any questions? Wait, there's a question. Deputy Mayor Marek.
Yes, hello. I visited the property and it's very conducive to this type of microwave. As was mentioned earlier, it's very, very small. And it's not like a traditional wedding. The property is unique I guess it's in a, for lack of a better word, it's a gully or a hole. And you have a pond there and whatnot, and I think that helps keep the noise down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's absolutely correct. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alice, sorry, your last name.
Thank you, Mayor, Sol, and Council. We are Amanda's next door neighbor, and we love it. It's quiet, it's organized, there's never any kind of ruckus or anything there. Everything is cleaned up. A lot of times you don't even know anything's going on next door. And I did ask Amanda for a schedule. I don't know if it was last fall or this spring, because one day I was cutting the grass and I saw a bridesmaid walking out there and I thought, oh no. So it is so perfect in every which way, everything she does. She keeps in contact with us and we go back and forth. It's a win-win, like I say, for her and us. We couldn't ask for better neighbors. Thank you.
Councilor People.
So you're the neighbor that is directly right beside the property?
We're right beside Amanda.
And any concerns going from 5 to 10 events in a year, or the time going from 10 to 11?
No, because half the time, more than half the time, we don't even know anything's being carried on. It's so quiet and everything else, and it's very small. There has been some larger ones, maybe 30 or 40 people, but it's never gotten out of hand. It's nothing like that. It's always been very, very good.
Thank you. I appreciate the comments.
Deputy Mayor Murphy.
Yeah, I'd just like to comment on that. You're actually the only neighbor in the area. You're
Yeah.
located right beside. There's no
Right
other neighbors in the area aside from you.
Yes, we're the next
You're the
door.
one and only.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, conditional use number 372025, Madam Planner. Oh, sorry, that's the one we did. Variation orders, no. Variation order number 882025, PTH number 9 on Calder Road. Who's here for the applicant? Or Madam, Planner, could you proceed, please?
Yeah, just a second, I'm sharing my screen. So this is a variance application, BOID 2025, located on PTH 9 and Calder Road. And purpose of this application is to reduce site area from 22 lots of this 22 lots for the subject property as a part of the conditions of subdivision 3092 amendment in AR agriculture restricted zone. So as per zoning law of St. Andrews, the site requirements of that zone is supposed to be 4 acres, and they're proposing 22 lots from 2 to 3.91 acres in minimum lots. There's 2 asterisks here. All proposed site widths are comply with zoning law and subdivision for 24 lots initially. But we are varying here 22 because one of them is alone compliance and one of them is Sawchuk Winnipeg Highway Corridor. So we're not going to vary with that. Okay, here we can see the location, air location of the subject property and the subdivision application map for the subdivision that's being approved. And conditions of approval of the variance. Should council wish to approve this application, the RPD recommends the following conditions. They are standard. This variance is limited to what has been presented. Any other changes will require a new variance approval, and the applicant in order to obtain all required permits from us and our RAM if needed. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Council members, do you have any questions for the planner? Councilor Hunt?
So the subdivision has already been approved through our RPD? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this is just to meet one of the variants.
Of the conditions.
The conditions that were set out in the original subdivision, which council passed and not RPD passed. Bob Julian, you're here as the applicant. Is there anything you wish to speak to on the application?
No, the planning report is fine. I have nothing to add.
Okay, thank you for being so accommodating and listening to residents on the trees and
Third hearing on this matter. I don't want to talk any longer.
Thank you. Carl Fields, would you like to speak to the matter?
No, I'm still opposed to it. Still the same thing with the size of the lots. So, it's not within the rest of our people.
Okay, thank you. Council members, do you have any further questions on this? Okay, we'll move on to the next matter. Subdivision number S253109, 326 River Road and Walter Street.
Okay, so So this subdivision application is 253109, located on 326 River and Bolt Street. And purpose of that application to create 24 lots and new road with 2 cul-de-sacs in an RR residential zone. Here we can see the allocation map of the whole property and subdivision application map that's being approved. Oh, sorry, we're not there. We're still on approval, yeah, for council to consider. And as per zoning bylaw of St. Andrews, in RR zone, the required site area is supposed to be 1.3 acres and 198 feet. And you can see here that the majority of the lots are not in compliance, but some are. And our analysis here and proposal. So the proposal subdivision adheres to GD designation and RPD development plan in general. But the subject application proposal for 24 lots that will vary in sizes between 0.6 to 1.15 acres size and 71 to 195 feet wide does not reside with the zoning bylaw in our residential and will require a variance to bring it into compliance. But still, according to the Manitoba Planning Act, there is no option to vary. And I will just read it. A variance order must be made if it makes a change of the land use. So we can see a change use here that, in our opinion, will require rezoning to adhere to the zoning bylaw. So we're therefore to meet Manitoba Planning Act criteria for the approval. RPD recommends that the application be approved with the condition that the property line is going to be rezoned. Our thoughts here and additional facts that the applicant had only 2 years to meet conditions for approval, and we all know that rezoning application take time. And there is no zone actually in St. Andrews zoning bylaw to accommodate those kind of sizes of proposed lots. So, and also St. Andrews is starting the process to update zoning bylaw, and it's supposed to conclude in June 2026. So that's just for your considerations to see how we can help with that, also for the applicant. So our RPD recommendation here. The RPD recommends that the application be approved with conditions, and we have 11 conditions here. I will go briefly just for the topics of them. So there are some taxes and payments for the municipality to be made, and applicant owner enters into development agreement with municipality to include in all the sections that are written here until V, and applicant owner enter into drainage and right-of-way easement with municipality as well, and to applicant owner to provide digital copies of all plans, and applicant owner successful rezones and subject land to facilitate the proposed lot size zone. Condition number 5, applicant owner submits written confirmation to Manitoba Environment and Climate Change about the drainage and water rights licensing, and also applicant owner to submit written information about the heritage resource impact assessment that the Manitoba Sport and Culture Heritage are asking. Also, Highway Manitoba Transportation Infrastructure wants also to see the drainage and the provincial, how it will affect the drainage system, and applicant owner service with information from Mars Hydro also about the easement agreement with them. And Bell MTS also will require an easement, and also applicant owner to dedicate land without compensation for school purposes not exceeding 10%. And applicant owner submits written confirmation from Rogers about the easements too, or easement. That's it, what I have here, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Council members, do you have any other questions?
When I first read this for the revision, it said that there was a recommendation for rejection. What's the change? Why now be approved the conditions?
Nothing changed. we just clarified our recommendation to reject with, to approve with rezoning. Because there is a legit way to approve it with rezoning application in it.
So you're looking for a rezone approval, to approve it with the rezoning
This
and not a variance.
is our way to see it for now, but there are any other options that you can consider, for sure.
But that would still be a condition for variances.
This is your
separate item.
decision.
Correct?
This is your decision.
Counselor Hunt?
Correct. It's no different than the last subdivision. We just heard that there's variances required for the subdivision. So the same thing can be required for this subdivision as well.
David, I think we have to go that route because our zoning bylaw is over 20 years old. And we'll have to be dealing with applications like this until we get that zoning bylaw updated.
So why the change in your
It was
comment?
practically the same. We recommended it to be rejected because of the Planning Act restrictions to vary anything that will change the land use. But if it's gonna be rezoned, that we're not gonna be.
You're not
And
varying.
again, yeah, we're not varying anything. That it's
Good
just
way to
going
do it.
straight on the green line, and that's it. But there are some obstacles on the way, like timelines and not updated by law, and you are in the middle of the process of updating it, so.
But it's then can still be approved with variances, correct? Yep, that's the will of council.
This is your decision to do,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Counselor Sliker?
Can we not, so you're saying it all has to be done in a 2-year period, can we not extend that for the applicant?
The applicant can extend it for 1 year at the end of those 2 years. That's only for one.
Okay, but that would mean the
Only
applicant
once.
would have to repay more money to do that, can we not do that at this point in time?
There's no option. We have that time frame, but yeah, it's not something that we can.
I think is that in a bylaw of our RPD or that's policy?
No, that's a planning act.
Oh, that's
2
the
years.
planning act.
That's it.
Okay, so we
And
can
one extension, and that's it.
Any further questions? Okay, on Andre Friesen, you're here on behalf of the applicant to speak to the matter. Please.
I have a brief presentation prepared that I've sent over to Mr. Braden. Thanks for the opportunity to present this evening. As mentioned, my name is Andre Friesen. I'm a planner with Landmark Planning and Design. This has been a long time coming. We started this project when the world was a bit of a different place. COVID was going on. Yeah, just very happy to be here. So I've got a brief presentation that I'll hop into if we flip to the next slide there. So as already shown by the planner, here we see an aerial image of the subject properties. Initially, it was just the area shown in yellow that was being considered to be part of this project. Following the virtual open house that we held, the property owner to the south came forward and wanted to participate. We always see that as being a really good thing. These areas are very difficult to develop with multiple landowners with very small slivers of lots. So they wanted to participate in the proposed subdivision and include the portion of their lands that aren't being used for a dwelling off of River Road. So combined, the entire area is about 20 acres. So here we see the proposed subdivision that will create 2 new cul-de-sacs, will extend Walter Street and create 20 new lots. Looks like there's some work going on Walter Street right now when I drove by the other day, so that's great. Probably a long time coming as well. So the lots that are being proposed today range in size from 0.6 acres to 1.4 acres, with the large lots being located to the north, where they match the existing lot lines of the existing lots that have been there for quite some time. The smaller lots to the south are roughly, the smallest ones would be 0.6, and they go up from there. So the proposed subdivision will be serviced with municipal sewer. It'll be serviced with private wells. And we've been working with Friesen Drillers to undertake a hydrogeological study of groundwater conditions, and it didn't identify any concerns. Got Mr. Jeff Bell here from Friesen Drillers as well, in case anything comes up. We know that there will be an engineered drainage plan that will be required as a condition of approval, and the applicant is looking forward to undertaking that and vetting it with your municipal engineer. Slide. So in terms of the development plan, for the area, these lands are designated as general development in the Red River Planning District Plan. And the general development designation is a designation for areas where significant residential development exists or is planned, and where the extension of centralized wastewater services are planned. One of the policies from that section states that subdivision, infill development, and higher density residential development may be considered to enable improved municipal services, such as pipe water and or wastewater services. So the proposed subdivision does comply with the development plan. Next slide. So the subject properties are zoned RR rural residential in the Army of St. Andrews existing zoning bylaw. So this zone is intended for lots that do not have access to municipal sewer and are not intended to be serviced or that are intended to be serviced privately. That's not really an option. So it's a zone that applies to this entire area, but everyone in this area, if they wanted to subdivide, has to connect to the municipal services. So there's some dissonance between the zoning and what is actually happening on the ground. I commend council for undertaking a review of the existing zoning bylaw because your bylaw, as mentioned, Madam Mayor, doesn't really contemplate modern development practices and lot sizes that would be found in municipalities that do have access to wastewater sewer. The only other option is to rezone to the RA zone. We didn't want to proceed in that direction because we're creating lots that are double the size of that zone, and we didn't want to open up the option for somebody to purchase a large lot and then to come back and potentially subdivide it further into 2, 3, 4 lots just to maintain the character. Because the reason that we're proposing the subdivision in this configuration is to maintain some of the existing character and then have a gentle change in terms of how the lotting would be configured. So taking these into consideration, we're proposing to vary the lot sizes. The Planning Act says not a change in land use. This is still residential to residential. We deem this to be an appropriate change. In terms of public engagement, which will be on the next slide, as mentioned, we started this project, it feels like a really long time ago. Our first meeting was a virtual open house held in April 2022. As mentioned, since then, the property owner to the south contacted us and said that they wanted to be involved. Because of that, we've rejigged the subdivision design. You can see both of them on the screen right now. So adding those lands to the south enabled us to create an extension and a public reserve that would allow folks within that area to access the active transportation network that's growing within your municipality. I got to say, the last open house we had just over a year ago had an opportunity to speak with a lot of residents. I think we had a really good turnout at it. Many people came to me and said they were pleased with the refinements, keeping the lot sizes consistent in terms of what's there on the ground, where old meets new, matching those lot lines. I did also hear some resistance to changes that inherently occur when development patterns shift. And in this case, it's shifting from an unserviced development pattern to a serviced development pattern. Next slide. So when I think about those changes, there's a couple things that come to mind that form some of the background information about why we're making an application this way, some stuff that has happened over time that kind of dictates how we will be making applications moving forward. So there has been a lot of change since the 1980s, the 1990s, and the 2000s, when most of the current development pattern in South St. Andrews was established. From a planning and development perspective, the major change, as mentioned, is that wastewater sewer has been extended into this area. As such, lots are no longer designed to accommodate waste on site, and accommodating waste on site has always prescribed the size of the lot. The lot has been designed to accommodate that waste. That's why they were 1.38 acres. That was the minimum standard at the time. In the late 2000s, two provincial initiatives greatly influenced changes to the development pattern in the Arm of St. Andrews and elsewhere for that matter, and continue to influence how we plan new lots today. So the first was the Red River Corridor Initiative, which placed a moratorium on creating new lots that have septic fields. The area that we're focusing in today, the star on there shows where we are. It's definitely within that Red River corridor. So basically it eliminated the option of having holding tanks within that area. The next thing was a change to on-site wastewater management regulation. And basically that changed everything from lots that could have a septic field had to go from 1.38 acres up to 2 acres. So regardless, those two changes basically in one sweep changed how everything would occur within this area. And basically everything that's happened since then, lots have been built on holding tanks up until a sewer was extended. And that's kind of been the status quo up until now. In terms of development considerations and influences, those changes over the years have played out with the Arm of St. Andrews having a reduced number of building starts and dwelling starts within the municipality. Right now, within the capital region, the Arm of St. Andrews has the third lowest building starts or housing starts. If we flip to the next slide here, I think the only RMs that have less would be the RMs of St. Francis Xavier and Rosser, that is traditionally very much an agricultural community. The conditional use to actually get a single family dwelling on your agricultural lot, so they make it very difficult to develop there. Within the Red River Planning District, within the member municipalities, lowest housing starts comparatively, and that's also compared to East St. Paul, where they haven't really been able to develop as much either because they don't have any capacity in their existing system. They're still lower than what they've been bringing online historically, even with those constraints. So just for comparison, how have these communities shifted over that time period from when services became available and lots have had to hook up to those services? So here we see a lot in the Arm of Headingley, in the Taylor Farm subdivision. This is a pretty typical lot out there these days. We're actually working on their development plan. Council sees this as being the development plan, the development kind of shape format moving forward. But yeah, typical lot, 55 Federally Way, 0.33 acres. That's the status quo in Headingley, which has also historically been a very large lot community up until wastewater was extended. So if you flip to the next slide, we can see here that for the larger lots that we're proposing, in terms of site area, you can fit 3 to 4 of those lots onto the same size property. For our smallest lot, in terms of site area, you can fit 2. As you can see, the lots are configured a little bit differently, but in terms of site area, you can basically fit 2 of those lots into the smallest lot that's being proposed. Next, for comparison, if we look at the Arm of West St. Paul, this is very typical. I've done a lot of applications in this area. Lots range in size from typically 0.15 to 0.20. So this is a lot within the River Springs Grove subdivision at 67 Oshansky Place. So if we compare this to, again, to the lots that we're proposing here on the next slide, wait for that to come up. For our larger lots, you can fit 8 of those lots onto the larger lots and 4 of those onto the smallest lots that we have. Next, again, for comparison, let's take a look at the Arm of St. Clements, the River Oaks North subdivision. This was approved a couple years back. 24 Cross Drive, lot size 0.32 acres, service development. If we flip to the next slide again, here we see you can fit 3 to 4 in the larger lots, and for sure almost up to 2 for the smaller lots. Finally, let's take a look at another historically large lot area to the south of the city of Winnipeg, and this is the Grand Point area. Here we see a lot on Grand Point Meadows Boulevard that was recently created, 0.35 acres. And if we flip back to the subdivision plan here, we see a very similar result where we're seeing 3 to 4 lots on the larger lot and almost 2 on the smaller lots that are being proposed. So with these comparisons, I'm 100% not saying that St. Andrews should be like those RMs. But it's interesting to know what else is happening on the ground and how these other municipalities have pivoted over time in terms of how their ability to accommodate future development and what kind of the new status quo is for serviced municipalities. I'm lucky that in this case, the people that I'm working for on the subdivision are pretty open and reasonable. They didn't want to roll in with something that would completely change the development pattern going down to that RA zone. Based on the feedback that we received at the public engagement houses, there was a want to maintain that character, the lot size, which has been done to the north. And as I mentioned, we feel it's a reasonable transition to a lot size that is twice as big as what you'd find in other communities, in keeping with what is typical in St. Andrews. Lots are going to be bigger, so we're still trying to provide that. They are a service lot though, so it is a service lot that's twice as big as what you'd find in other similar communities that have historically been large lot. So to conclude, the subdivision complies with the Red River Planning District Development Plan. There were no objections received from provincial departments for the circulation. The proposed subdivision has been designed to maintain the existing neighborhood character while proposing a gentle transition to a serviced development pattern. And as mentioned, we're looking to undertake variances for the lots because we don't have a zone that we could actually rezone to that would adequately represent what's being proposed on the ground. We commend council for undertaking the bylaw review, and one of the options could be after variances are granted, these properties could be rezoned as part of a new zone that could be created, could be overlaid once you actually have that new zone as part of your zoning bylaw in the future. I would anticipate you looking at a zone that's roughly within that range to represent what we'd call kind of estate lots that are larger sought after lots that would have very large houses on them, similar to what we see on the ground right now. So thank you very much for the opportunity to present and provide a little bit of that background information. I'm happy to answer any questions if council has any.
Council members, Councilor Dornbach?
Andre, I think you're a great planner, by the way, so don't take this as a shot. You put some examples up there from West St. Paul and St. Clements.
Yep.
And some of those smaller lots. Do they have a zone specific for those smaller lots?
They do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew you would know that.
Yeah, actually, they have several different zones that have been created over time, and actually West St. Paul Council is currently undertaking a revision to add even more zones to represent what's happening on the ground. So they're going to have probably 5 or 6 different residential zones to represent modern development.
Councilor Slifer?
And just off of that, did the RF St. Clement, they just did the upgrading on their zoning a few years ago as well, right? But theirs is way more, been way more upgraded than we are even close to.
That's right. Yeah, so that subdivision that I mentioned there, that took advantage of a new zone that it created. And again, it's not in that area, it wasn't looking at creating a very small urban zone. That was actually one of our clients that created those lots in that area and wanted to maintain the open space, the larger feel. And that was the size that they deemed to be reasonable for that area. Very nice lots on the river there.
Isn't those examples that you brought up from the different municipalities, they have a full sewer though? They don't have a low flow sewer. West St. Paul, St. Clements, some of the other ones, that's a full sewer. That has nothing to do with low flow sewer.
The provincial regulation doesn't talk about the type of sewer, it just talks
Well,
about.
if you want to compare apples to apples here, we're not comparing the same thing.
That's true.
Thank you. Councilor Donald?
Oh, yeah, sorry, Andre, I noticed in the application that you had one well possibly for 20 houses. Was that in there? Maybe I read it wrong.
That's what's written. That was not the intent. It should be one well per house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't Norm Headingley low pressure?
I believe they are.
Yeah. Yeah, because we want to fund.
Taylor Farm is full sewer. And that's was his example.
Yeah, I believe that Headingley has a loop system of low pressure.
That's what I thought as well.
Yeah.
I can double check.
Pretty sure it's full sewer. We just had someone purchase there from one of our friends and it's full sewer.
This is a question back to the planning board about your recommendations. Why the switch in recommendations now, and in the past you've always recommendations if council wishes to approve this variances are required.
We're just trying to show the way to do it on the Ring Road without any obstacles or whatever needed. It's practically the same recommendation, but from the other perspective.
So it seems, I believe, slipped in there because it doesn't even have its own number. You have it in there along with number 4 that says to provide digital copies of the plans, and then it's underneath that. You know, that should be, if it's that important number of a condition, it should have its own number.
It has its own number.
That's number 5.
It's number 5.
On my thing, it's just number 4. Number 5 is applicant owner submit. So anyway,
No, it is
okay.
a different number.
But like I say, this is the first time you've had that condition in there on subdivisions.
Yes, we are, and we see it as something that will make it smoother and legit way to do it as it is, but still, it is your decision for now.
Which is why we should have options as well as it's our decision, so that option should also be given. And like it was mentioned that, you know, our development, our zoning bylaw is 20 years old or more. Doesn't
Right.
take into effect the sewer, so the recommendations should take into that fact too. Just my comment. Okay, thank you.
I don't understand where you're going with that.
What's that?
I don't think any of us understand where you're going with this.
Well, they've always recommended if it doesn't, I know it says it doesn't conform to the development plan, but if council wishes to approve it, variances are required.
Well, variances are right in here. Number 5, applicant owner to apply for the lot size and lot with variances as required.
Okay.
Are there any other questions of Mr. Freeze? Okay, thank you, Andre.
Thank you very much.
So you're able to ask questions? You'll be called upon. I have the list here.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll call the names. You're speaking on behalf of the applicant. They're not speaking, right?
On behalf of the.
Okay,
correct.
This is one, Mr. Bell. You're not signed in here. Are you speaking as to?
Here to answer any questions. I'm not for or against.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now, Mr. Bridge, so I'll call in Thomas Harrod. You're here for information. Would you like to speak? There's no one on Zoom, right?
No, I don't believe Tom Harridge, the two that were registered for information are here. That was about a month in advance they had registered, so I didn't see them tonight.
Okay, so they're not here. Mr. and Mrs. Justice Trainer, 12 Deer Rabbits. Is there someone, would you like to speak to the?
Well, do I have to go
Yeah. Please. And for the record, what is your first name?
Well, my name is Mike. I'm here on behalf of my son. He's in Europe. He can't be here. He's from Calder Rapids. I only have one question.
But what is the first name of Trainer? The last name is just yours.
Last name is Trainer. My name is Mike.
Okay.
I guess I'm not sure if I have a question for council or for the developer is all these other examples he gave, where are they getting their water from? Like West St. Paul, for example, the small lots. Are they connected to the city of Winnipeg water system? I think that's the big issue here is with 22 lots, 22 wells is the main opposition. So I'm just wondering, all these Headingley, West St. Paul, etc., where are they getting their water from? Are they all got wells in Headingley? Do they all have wells in West St. Paul?
RT.
Yeah.
Water Corp. Co-op.
Yes.
They're part of the water co-ops.
But is it piped in from somewhere or is it wells?
No, there's no wells there. It comes from Cartier from the White Horse,
Okay.
Lido Place or whatever on the highway, on number 1 highway.
So that's the concern here is
Yeah.
the number of wells you want to put in this small development. And where all these examples we're seeing all have piped in water. They're not putting 22 wells in a small area. That's all I have to say.
Like, that's for the traffic. Yeah.
Oh, and there's only gonna be one access off of the, what's it called, Walter?
Yeah.
And are they gonna come right from Gosnowski? or to come down Deer Rapids?
Perhaps,
I guess
Audrey,
you come
could you answer that
either place.
question? There's nothing in there.
Okay.
Coming
Right
from
at the
both?
end of the.
So right now, Walter is closed off, so you're opening that up from Goslowski all the way through?
It's my understanding that it's being upgraded right now.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. That's people building
Okay.
stuff in their yards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that is the intent for it to be the same.
But that's concern from 12 Deer Rapids is the water supply and the amount of traffic. Not only after it's built, but you're gonna have all those construction trucks, et cetera, coming down Deer Rapids to go into this with that is 20 end of access from either Main Street or River Road when they're doing the construction. So you're gonna have all these construction trucks going up and down past Deer Rapids is the concern coming from 12 Deer Rapids. He's got 2 little kids, 3 and 6. And last thing he needs is a bunch of dump trucks and cement trucks going up in the town, up and down the street 9 hours a day, all the time for the next 4 or 5 years when they're building.
Not a through street. No, sorry, it's not open. Want to speak, please.
Anyway, that's concern from 12 Deer Rapids is the traffic during construction and after, and also the water supply.
Okay, and we have someone here to answer any questions at the end. So we'll finish with you, we'll
Okay.
answer the question at the end. Thank you. Only Sawchuk.
Nothing to add.
Karen Ramo,
Yeah, that was me speaking up. Thank you. Here,
could you come to the microphone, please?
sure. Excuse me. I don't have anything properly prepared, but I live on Deer Rapids as well. And, my concern is also the traffic. We're not a through street. There's a lot of young families. It's a quiet street. It's not a long street. Before Andre and the developer does pursue this and you guys sign off, I hope you really consider access to it. Because just with 2 people building 2 garages, that we were at that meeting as well not too long ago when we sat here for hours. And you guys allowed that, and that's fine. That's producing mega big trucks down the street going really fast. All these trays are roaring down the street with no consideration. There's young families, there's dogs, it's a quiet street. We're not opposed to the development. We understand that that's just going to happen. But we feel like along with a few other things, that the traffic does need to be a huge consideration, not just for the development, the building of the homes, but once these 20 homes? 20 homes, and we know that a lot of these homes have big families in them. That's a lot of cars going down the street. I think you have to hold Andre and Tony accountable for proper access, and you guys as well. How are they going, all these people, once they live there, how are they getting to their homes? Are they going down Deer Rapids? Are they having to go down Goslowski and then Walter? You're not opening up anything on Main anymore. There's no access to River Road, right? Okay. So that's my big thing. I know from 2022, you guys started at 20, now you're at 20. What is a residual lot and what is a reservoir or that land on Main Street? What is all that about?
Who are you speaking to? You're not addressing
Andre.
council?
No, well, okay, if you guys could tell me what those lots are. What do they refer to? Residual lots and a reservoir, or what's it called?
Madam Planner?
I can answer on that question. The residuals are not included in the future development. They will stay as they are.
And that's on
That's
Main
why they're
Street?
residual.
And that's on Main?
Those are on River.
River. So no access to River Road though, correct?
Not through them.
Okay.
And the public reserve,
Is on Main.
it's just a reserve. That's not an access.
Okay, so here we have no access to River Road, no access to Main Street. There's only one way in there unless other people start opening, selling the rest of their property south of that. And that's not going to happen for a long time. That would go to lists once again. And I don't think the developer, and I might be wrong, the developer and Landmark have a say in if Walter Road opens? Is that not you guys that decide that? For me?
Yeah, that's
Who pays for it?
Okay, looking at the map that was on the screen, I have to look, sorry, the typing's so small. Into here is an extension of Walter. Vehicles will have to go down Walter. It looks like the road goes right through to just Wisnowski.
Currently it doesn't.
Well, the road will have to be worked on. Somebody said the road's being worked on and then it.
No.
It's in the rush.
There, it's not.
Oh, that's the garage. Okay. Well, then it goes Deer Rapids Road to River Road, to Walter, or straight ahead, it looks like to Wisnowski, then to River Road or to the provincial trunk highway number 9.
And I don't think there's anywhere else in St. Andrews that has a big subdivision tucked in a beautiful green space behind one quiet little road with hardly any access to it.
See, number 9, we know is the restricted highway, the
Right.
provincial highway, there's no more access. than
Right,
one
we
to-
know that, and I respect that for obvious reasons. But again, that's not on us. Again, they want to put in a big development in behind where there's not a lot of access. So they're gonna have to go down Deer Rapids and they're gonna have to go down Walter. There's no other way in there. So the more lots they pump in there, the more. And now, like, I know that they expanded that space by 4 or 5 lots from 2022 because they got extra property, but it doesn't solve our traffic issue. And that's my biggest concern. So hopefully you guys take that into consideration. It's a short, beautiful little area road. And I don't.
The only way that would happen is if Walter, which is closed off right now, is opened up, and then you got access on the Highway 9 from Wisnowski, as well as on River Road, and then Deer Rapids on River Road as well.
But how would those trucks, because that's hard on River Road too, right? All those trucks coming in. What streets are they coming down? Like, do they not
We
have?
don't know that. We don't know what route they're gonna take.
But that's important to us, just so you know, like, that's important to us because even with those 2 garages being built, it's crazy, right? So.
That's right.
River Road is a government road and it's built to standards that all those kind of weights.
Yeah,
The road is built to.
but our road isn't. Walter isn't, Wisnowski isn't. So anyways, thank you very much. That was my main concern.
Okay, Mr. Remo, do you have anything new to add? Same concerns, okay. No?
Excuse me, I didn't know to register. I'm on 3 Deer Rapids Drive.
Well, just a moment. We'll put through those, remind me, but we'll go through those that registered that signed in. Who's here? Okay. Albert Walker. You're in opposition. Would you like to speak, please?
Sure. Madam Mayor, Council, my name is Albert Backer. I guess most of you guys have seen me and heard me before. So I'm in opposition to it for numerous reasons. Andre's presentation, as nice as it was, doesn't compare apples to apples, as Councillor Mondor showed. You have to compare the water situation that they're proposing to what's out there right now. And it's the same as that you guys did on approved from River Road. All these wells being drawn from the one aquifer. I've done reports. I've gone back through records. Back in the day, in the late mid-90s, they had a 1,600-foot exploration hole drilled by Pro-Am Exploration on my property. It was one of 2 holes as part of what's called the Golden Boy project. I was able to find some records of files on those from the Manitoba government. There are more. It's very difficult trying to search for all that. But I stole. AECON was the engineer of record at the time. for my drill hole and for the hole on Hansieli's property. Hansieli's hole went down 3,600 feet. Mine went down about 1,600. When they were drilling my hole, being the first hole, drilled it at an angle towards Main Street from the east side of my property. It's adjacent right to the south of the proposed subdivision. And they encountered, from what the records from the government at the time proposed, was so much flow underground for the water. And when they got down to there, they encountered a water flow that was, they've said, about 10 times higher than what they were told. And they weren't expecting that. And they called it that it was a problem with excessive karstification in the ground, which was the dissolved CO2 in the water, eroding the limestone layer underneath there. And they basically were told that they had to stop, shut down, and was a big kerfuffle about protecting the aquifer. And they landed up spending close to $1 million just protecting that one aquifer back in 97, I believe it was. And the whole hole cost them well over $1 million. And they knew what to be prepared for when they did the second hole, H2, out on Hansieli's property. And they had brought in water for doing their work on my property, but they drilled their own well and used on-site water on Hansi's property. So after all this protection of the water, they basically decided that due to some of them, what they were looking for underground, it was just too burdensome unless the price of gold and minerals, copper, nickel, and all that went crazy, basically. And it wasn't feasible to develop and make a working line. So the karstification that they were talking about is a concern to me, and as well as to other residents, that drawing so much water from the aquifer in such a small area is going to cause excessive wear to the limestone layer. And other parts of Manitoba, and I'm sure Mr. Don can speak to it, there's karsting going on. I know he says it's a common occurrence, and it probably is, but it may not be so much in a really highly developed residential area. And I'd hate to see that there's a karst situation where the land sinks and settles and cracks the limestone layer, and then we get contamination in our aquifer, which serves so many people in South St. Andrews and surrounding areas. I'm told it's called something called the Red River Formation, and somewhere about the Red River is kind of where there's a boundary line between that and the Birds Hill area. So, protect the water. That's my biggest thing. And all the developments that he's, Mr. or Andre put up on the screen, show that these lots have piped water, potable piped water. And that's great. I mean, I'm not against development. I mean, if we have potable piped water in it, by all means, make it, high intensified. And we don't have to worry about any of that. Then we have those other issues to worry about. And I kind of made a small little report here, and I don't know if you want me to read it all or not. It's about 4 pages long.
Do you have a copy for council?
I only was printed one out. I kind of did this afternoon, so I was kind of pressed for time. This stuff I printed off here. There was reports done from some fellow from the University of Manitoba. I think that was done in 2018 about that area as well. So I talked about the water issue. Another thing here is a surface water runoff seems to always be a secondary concern. However, for this application is now more of a concern to me. The primary reason is the land drainage water is needed to flow north as per the design parameters. And I know that because the prior owner of the property, Mike Maddock, he put the extension to Walter Street on with the intent of building a subdivision. And the engineering report stated that the water needs to go north. Well, unfortunately, the land doesn't go north, it goes south, because there's the less drainage is right there, and that's right behind 5501, my mother's property, and all that water congregates there and goes under River Road. There's a huge culvert there, been there forever, and that means all this water that has to get drained has to go. And when Mr. Maddock, he's no longer here, he moved to Vancouver or BC somewhere. I had brought fill in to bring up that ditch in order to grade it so it would flow north. And it's probably about half a meter in that area, and by the time it gets further south, it's almost a meter drop. And that all continues on down towards 318 River Road, which is a private residence as well. So now that they're going to put more ditches in there, cul-de-sacs, more asphalt, more driveways, more homes, more garages, there's no more place for that water to run off. It's going to run on the ground. It's got to go somewhere. And nature wants to take it south. And it goes going to go right across my property, across my mother's property, and then down into the ravine where nature wants it to go. It's part of the continuation of back in the day in the early 1900s of Myrie Creek. That's where Myrie Creek used to drain. And that doesn't happen anymore. So that's one of the primary. I don't think you should be using variances, like the Red River Planning District Board here says, as a means of being able to push developments through. I mean, there should be zoning changes made. I know you guys are trying to implement that, but it's been a very difficult road. I mean, I went to meetings back 15, 20 years ago that this thing has to be updated. Now, I know that there is a low pressure sewer system in the system now, and that's great. Don't get me wrong, it is great, but one day it will have to be moved over to a gravity flow system. Maybe not in any of our lifetime, but one day it will happen. If you're going to keep densifying the area and moving towards high density area, City of Winnipeg or other areas that, some of the areas of West St. Paul, and they're all tied into a gravity flow system. It's like Councillor Mondor stated. And the primary thing is they got water. We talked about the LDS system, land drainage. Anemones now for all these families that are going to want to move into the area. We need, make sure that our fire services, emergency responders can service this area. And one of the situations is that the road system in that area, Mike Maddock, he had to build his extension of Walter. He built it the City of Winnipeg scope. I know that. COW was done. The rest of Walter isn't. Developers, some guy wanted to put a swimming pool in his backyard. Don't know who it was. He went and tore right through Mike's property and with cement trucks because council, he got a letter stating that he couldn't drive over the roads because the roads couldn't take the cement trucks. And they took it upon themselves to drive right through private property, which was Mike's, to get to that guy's yard. Cut a whole bunch of Mike's trees down. Yeah, it wasn't good.
Do we all have road standards now that they have to follow?
Well, City of Winnipeg road specs are, kind of a pretty much everywhere in the province done. It's handed down by the province, Manitoba, for the road infrastructure. So Walter Street doesn't conform to that. Deer Lane, whatever it is, there. Deer Rapids doesn't conform to that either right now. I don't think this now Street does either. River Road does, Main Street does, but they're not truck routes. And when you start putting a subdivision in there like that, it's going to destroy the roads without question. I mean, school buses alone on this, the weight on the single on the front axle, because they're considered a necessary service, same as fire trucks, they can go down it. But school buses destroy roads. They do. Water trucks as well, and Headingley, some parts of Headingley, they destroy roads, but they're considered a necessary service. This proposed development only has one entrance, one exit. So if something was to happen, that there was a car accident or some sort of incident on the road, there's only one way in, one way out. So you'd have to drive through a ditch or grab a helicopter, or drive through my property or something to get out. So I think right now at this point, the municipality needs to get their zoning regulations first in order, primarily, and take notice of what other municipalities have done. Create an area that is maybe not right in the heart of where our standard 60,000 square, 1.38 acre lots are situated, something that's more open, and start there. Put some sort of a water treatment facility in. If you're going to draw from the ground aquifer, make it down to I believe there's a second aquifer that's down there, I was told, when they drilled my hole. Draw from that aquifer. Bring it up, treat it, pipe it to the people in that area. Start small. And then if they can get into some sort of agreement with maybe the town, city of Selkirk, I mean, city of Selkirk has new well capacity for their residents as they don't draw from Red River any longer, unless there's an emergency. I think the municipality in that area of town, maybe not through the whole municipality, understand that, but in that area where the primary residential population is residing because they're basically a bedroom community to services in Winnipeg, I think you need to first look at that, get that house in order
Well, we
first.
do have an agreement, an MOU, we passed a resolution with, St. Clement.
For their water,
Water under the,
under Lockport.
pipe down to the river, we're just waiting for grant money from Water Services for.
Okay,
that
is
was
that
last year, I believe.
how large of an area will that service? How much capacity does that allow?
We're just waiting to get the water here first.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there were studies done by St. Clements that determine if South St. Andrews is able to
That's
draw
all.
enough to.
Do you have anything else to add? You're very informative. Thank you. Do you have anything else to add to this?
Well, I could go on, but it's probably gonna be in grades. I guess we'll leave it at that. Any questions?
Council members, do you have any questions for Mr. Bacher? No? Oh, Council.
Yes, very informative, very great, research you've done there. I guess in terms of, I appreciate your comments. I'm hoping we can speak with, Mr. Bell, is it?
Mr. Bell.
Yeah.
I'm not against it. I mean, I'm sure that the water, the aquifer, the capacity of it is sufficient. That's not a problem. It's not how much water you can draw out of it. It's just that when I know they drilled my hole on my property for their exploration program, the provincial government through AECON basically told them this is a big, big concern. And that was in 97. And they spent a lot of money pumping grout down that hole to stop it, to protect, because if it wasn't protected, it would be completely catastrophic for the South St. Andrews. And their biggest concern when they went down there was hitting the remnants of Lake Agassiz, which was that brackish, salty water, and that being because it was under a large head of pressure, being driven up and contaminating all the aquifer. And that's what was a very serious concern as well. But they never expected to see the amount of problems that they had with that first level, because everybody draws from it. It's a cheap hole to drill to get to water. So.
Yeah, well, we'll have these questions for Mr. Balfour.
Do you have a question?
Just what was the purpose of these holes?
We were looking for gold and copper, and
But that's not for water though, 1,600 and 3,200 feet though.
they have to go that deep in order to go through the
I
water.
understand that, yeah.
So they have to protect those
But
aquifers.
what does that have to do with, I know, so they grouted it off, but what does that have to do with the higher water surfaces? Like, all piped water comes out of the ground anyway.
No, it doesn't all come out of the ground.
Well, the ones in this area, Selkirk water comes from 2 miles from here.
Yes, and it's a much deeper aquifer to second layer.
Friesen also did that test on that well, because there was concern
Oh,
with
absolutely.
residents about around the area. They put 50 test wells in, pumped 24/7 for 7 days, and there was no drop in water.
We're not worried about the quantity of the water. I've never said it was a quantity of water. One thing is the quality of the water is changing, but not the quantities. The quality, because when you draw so much water out of the aquifer, it dissolves even more dissolvable minerals out of the aquifer, of the limestone. And in order for that water gets pumped up, it gets utilized by people, but we have to soften that water in order to make it usable. So in order to soften it, we have to provide sodium, salt into a brine to pump backwash our resin tanks. And that water again is all being pumped out. So it's just snowballing. The harder the water gets, the more we utilize to try to soften it.
Everybody has a right to that water though.
The provincial government changed that,
Have a
unfortunately.
question. Council members are not to enter into debate. You have a question,
I'm fine.
okay? Apologies, Mr.
No, that's fine. I mean, I did some research on it.
Council members, do you have any other questions of Mr. Bacher?
Backer.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay.
Just don't call me late for supper.
Melody?
Yeah, that's my mother. She wasn't able to attend this evening,
Okay,
so thank you.
thank you. Okay, Charles Don Ghettos.
I did provide an electronic document ahead of time. We don't need to show the whole document, it's just basically my speaking notes, but there are a few pictures that I'd like to be presented to council as I sort of go through it here. So, first of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank everybody for letting me come up here and ask some questions about this proposed development. My name is Charles Giddos, and me and my family live at 330 River Road. I am here today as our property is directly up against the east side of the proposed development, specifically lot numbers 4 and 5, as far as I can tell based on the schematic, which with bad eyes and that small handwriting. I'm not 100% too sure, but it's the two east ones of the development plan there. A little bit of history. Sorry. River Road.
River Road.
Yeah, River Road.
Yeah, 330 River Road.
You're right, you're writing something. Okay, I see.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's lots 4 and 5, but yeah. If it's not, it's 5, 6. It's kind of not that much important. Back in 2022, we purchased this property. Love the place, love the community, love St. Andrews, and we were fully aware at the time of potential development. I just want to be clear, me and my family are not opposed to development, as I understand the needs of the developer, the landowner, and the need for the RM to expand its tax base. However, in reviewing the application, I do have some concerns that I'd like to raise that hopefully be eventually addressed in this proposal or any other future proposals or development plans respecting this property. I think everybody here has done actually a pretty good job at identifying some of the macro concerns, the traffic, the sewer, the water, and good presentation on the need for development as well. So kudos to everybody on what they've sort of presented so far. I'm actually going to be speaking about two concerns that are more at a personal level. Just a little bit of impact on me and my family. And I'm going to get into my presentations. Actually, I want to talk a little bit about family that just can't be here. It's going to be, I'll get to that in a little bit. So the first concern that I sort of have relates to potential direct flooding impacting my property. A little bit of reading through the proposal. So I just want to kind of quote a couple of the bylaws, just to get a little bit of context where I'm sort of coming from. So as per the application subdivision, bylaw 272-19, objective 4.6C states any proposed development ensures that uses located within the general development areas do not adversely affect adjacent uses. Adjacent use is going to be me and coming up here. And specifically, policy 4.6 states urban land uses with the general development shall be limited to ensure compatibility with existing land uses. Any new development shall occur in such a manner so that adjoining land uses are compatible and potential conflicts between uses is minimized. The use of buffers may be required to minimize conflicts. And one more quote before I get into my details. And specifically, policy 4.614.3 states the proposed development is not subjected to flooding and or other natural hazards, or that the proposed development can be protected, adequately protected from flooding and or other natural hazards. Okay, so why did I quote all those bylaws? Kind of boring stuff there. If you can, get my.
I'm going to pull it up right now.
Yeah, the first picture, please. So yeah. Okay, so yeah. So the west portion of my property, you kind of see the pictures up there. So little red dot, that's 330 River Road. That's where I live. And they're basically my backyard. There is kind of a line that kind of runs black line, planted some trees there. That's the general end of my property. And every year since we've been there, we've experienced flooding. As again, nothing major, but there is overland flooding. And when it rains really hard, we do get moisture there. So again, not a big deal as of today. I've never had encroach my property too far, but I do have a shop there that I do run a business out of. Nothing major. And I do have future plans for basically semi-retired, expanding my garden, which I really, really enjoy. When looking at this proposal, there was the majority of the properties are under the required 200-year flood level, and the requirement was to raise them all up. Well, there's flooding in my backyard already, and there's flooding already in lots 4 and 5. And I've been a farmer for farming history about 50 years. I know a slough and I can see one from a mile away, and it's a slough back there. There's water in there every spring. So my concern is that as those lots and not lots 3, 4, and 5 get raised, there's nothing in that proposed drainage plan that they're looking for that says, how are you going to affect your neighbors? So I'm specifically worried about water increasing flow coming into my property and potentially flooding my shop and adversely affecting my business. So that's one of my personal concerns there. Okay. 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 So I have another concern. Oh, sorry, any questions on that before I get to my second concern? And this one's a little bit different. We're going to kind of talk about a family that can't be here. So my second concern relates to wildlife. Policy 4.69, states, the proposed development is compatible with adjoining land uses, natural areas, wildlife, and or riparian habitat, and potential conflicts generated from the proposed development is minimized through buffering and or appropriate measures. And the reason why I sort of bring this up, can you bring up probably the second slide? The next one, yeah. One more there, yeah. Yeah, it's the next picture, please. There we go. Yeah. So on the corner of our property, not 100% too sure if it's our property, the property 326, that's going to be subdivided, or lots 4 and 5, there's an eagle's nest. And there's an active breeding pair of eagles there. They've been there for at least 4 or 5 years, as far as I know, and they're there every year.
20 years.
20 years. I've only been there for 3 years. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. I said, been there for 3 years, so I know they've been there that long there. Yeah. Yeah, so this basically nest is either on my property, proposed lot number 5, or the residue of 326 River Road, which is the property directly south of us where they're kind of selling off a portion of their land. Until a survey is done, the exact location in relation to development is unknown. Like, depending on which way the wind is blowing, that nest can be in multiple different properties, I believe. Okay, and you bring up the next picture, just makes you guys know that I'm not making stuff up. Yeah, so there's the eagle's nest in question. And one more nest after that picture. Okay, perfect, yeah. Yeah, so if it is a proposed lot number 5, not only should the policy be, the existing policy just quoted be considered, but also hopefully the developer takes into account the Migratory Bird Convention Act, which basically prevents the killing, harming, or disturbing of migratory birds, their nests, and eggs. Even if it is not located in proposed lot number 5, Manitoba Sustainable Development still has guidelines for the development activity buffers for eagles nests as outlined. Could you actually show the next page? It actually sort of shows us here, yeah. So this was in effect as of 2022. So basically it kind of shows that for eagles during the, what is it exactly there? During breeding season, a 200-meter buffer radius. And during non-grading season, 100-meter radius. I said, these are guidelines. I said, I got these from the provincial website. As I said, it was effective 2022. I did email the Minister of Natural Resources and Indigenous Concerns to get an updated copy. That was last week. I haven't heard back yet, so hopefully that gets some clarification on that. So what we're basically doing here is that we ask that the proposed development respect to follow all eagle and wildlife protection laws, adhere to all development buffer guidelines put forward by the province of Manitoba to ensure the physical welfare of the eagles. And it's kind of interesting too. So the other thing too is we started off the meeting, you did the proper land acknowledgement. I have family that's Indigenous, Métis, and there's also a pretty significant cultural aspect of this as well. A bit of a personal note, it's not even my presentation, not Indigenous, but last year, I had one of the worst days of my life. I had to go out there because an eagle had actually fallen out of the nest and died. Like I said, it was just heartbreaking that just like a baby that's actually about that big was kind of fell down there. So I can certainly understand the connection to them. As I said, I just want to make sure that they're protecting its heart and soul. And last little consideration, again, just for some information. One of the other things put forward as the condition was that sport, culture, heritage, historical resources asked for historical archaeological significance. Resource branch has already identified the area's potential historical archaeological significance. And just kind of working in my backyard, there's a few different sort of artifacts I basically unearthed within the last year. So I just want to show this as just a little bit of credence basically for the need for the historical significance of the area that a proper architectural survey is completed. Yeah. And in conclusion, I said, like, we're not opposed to it. We just want to make sure that our individual needs are sort of like addressed, that we're not flooded out, and the wildlife and the the wildlife and the cultural significance of this very special area is still maintained when the development eventually goes through. Thank you for your time.
Members, do you have any questions? No, okay, thank you. Oh,
Yeah.
Councilor Darboe.
I do, don't broadcast that too much if you find that stuff in your yard.
Oh. It's just kind of like I said, I've grown up on a family farm farms been our name for over 100 years, like north of Winnipeg here, but I know those tools of old because I have never seen anything like that. And the pottery that I found, like this summer, first time at the Lower Fort Garry for a long time, and like the pottery I'm finding in my yard is the same stuff they have on display at Lower Fort Garry.
Hmm. Yeah, I can't remember, they did the Lockport Bridge. I forget how many thousands of pieces
Yeah.
we found.
You don't want them digging up your backyard.
Yeah, no.
Warn you right now.
Yeah, no, then my garden gets been built for me, so that's fine.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Mackenzie, you're in opposition, would you like to speak, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone. I guess I'm in opposition unless certain things are ironed out here, one being the requirement for rezoning. I was hoping to hear more of an explanation from the planner as to why the change in the planner's report. I got the impression it had more to do with the development plan bylaw. In the original report, it said that the application was not generally consistent with the development plan bylaw. And then in the revised version, it says it is. So I know that development plan bylaw is very generally worded, and you can pick out certain parts of it to make whatever case you want to make. So maybe there's some confusion within our RPD itself as to when something is in compliance or not in compliance. But anyways, I'm not sure that variances are really the solution. The RRPD is bound to point out to you when something is not in compliance with the development plan bylaw, the zoning bylaw, or the Planning Act. And you are also bound to follow those documents and pieces of legislation. And variances are not to be used for changes in land use. And the planner has explained that this is considered a change in land use. So rezoning is really your only option unless you want to be in contravention of the Planning Act. And while she indicated that's your choice, I guess it is a choice, but recognize that you would be violating the Planning Act in doing so. So in this case, with this subdivision, unlike the River Road one with the condos, the lot sizes are more generally consistent with that suburban residential zone. So it could be rezoned to that. I heard Mr. Friesen's explanation as to why they decided not to do that. And I don't know that I buy that, because even my property, which is 1.5 acres, technically somebody could buy our property and subdivide it 3 ways and apply for suburban residential. So, I mean, you can, if you're worried about that sort of thing, you can put parameters within the development agreement that say the house has to be in the center of the property if that's really going to be a concern. So I believe that rezoning should happen first, and then a subdivision application, or jointly applied for as a combined application. But your zoning bylaw upgrade is a good year off, maybe longer, because the assumption has been made that there's not going to be a municipal board hearing required, because there won't be any objections. I guarantee that there will be objections. You can pretty much count on that. So you're looking at it being more than a year off. And I really would hate to see council continue down the road of subdivision applications and variances a mile long to deal with increasing the density of development within South St. Andrews. I don't think that's the route to go. So I'm hoping that condition remains in your approval if you choose to approve. And I agree, it should be a separate condition number. Right now it's wedged between number 4 and number 5, and it should be its own condition. The other thing I wanted to talk about is servicing the properties. And when you're talking about smaller lots, it always boils down to how do you service those lots. And the applicant, I understand, is proposing that the 20 new lots will have individual wells. And so St. Andrews, as you know, we rely almost exclusively on groundwater. And the development plan bylaw requires that the municipality ensure that any new development can be supplied with potable water without impacting existing property owners. And this investigation is supposed to happen before the approval of new development. But so far, you have not considered this as a council as a priority, while at the same time, you're encouraging more development on smaller lots. The bottom line is residents in the vicinity of this proposed development want reasonable assurance that their existing wells will not be negatively affected. And if they are, they want to know who to call at the RM. Administration's comments on this subdivision proposal within the planner's report includes a suggestion that the developer explore the feasibility of one central well to service the 20 homes. And the fire department is requesting a water supply well for firefighting purposes. So it looks like, subsequent to the public comments at the River Road condo development public hearing, that there has been some thought given to water requirements for new developments with smaller lots. However, once again, I note that there's nothing included in the conditions that actually require a hydrogeological investigation. If you recall at the River Road public hearing, that condition was added by council, requiring them to do that kind of investigation, and I was glad to see that happen. Conditions are routinely added for wastewater servicing, and conditions for water servicing should be no different. The RM has contracted with West St. Paul, you did contract with WSP Canada in 2022 to conduct a water supply feasibility study, which was cost shared 50-50 with the Manitoba Water Services Board. And Lockport has been identified as priority area 1 for future piped water, followed by the airport as priority area 2. The remainder of South St. Andrews, including the subject property here today, is last on the priority list. And although the RM has not made the study available to the public, I've asked for it. Information gleaned from other sources reveals that West St. Paul, Selkirk, and St. Clements were considered as options for the supply of piped water. But St. Clements was deemed to be the most reasonable option. They've got a project ongoing to increase the capacity of the East Selkirk Water Treatment Plant, and that's projected to bring online additional piped water for about 2,800 equivalent residential units. Earlier this year, Water Services Board finally announced funding for phase 3 of that project, and that'll include pushing a line across the Red River to St. Andrews to service the Lockport area and a planned future multifamily development. So the only question left now is how this will impact existing homes as well as proposals for new development in South St. Andrews beyond Lockport. So my questions were, do we have any idea what the service area is going to be for the piped water? I don't imagine it's going to include the proposed property, certainly not before the development goes through if it does. So I'd like to know how the municipality plans to address the need for potable water studies in South St. Andrews in general, for those of us who will be on groundwater for the foreseeable future. And will there be an actual condition added to this application requiring study on this development at the very least? And I'd also like to point out in Mr. Breezen's presentation, he mentioned the smaller lots in various other municipalities, and some of the ones that he mentioned indeed do have piped water. So I don't think it's appropriate to compare directly. to our area where that's really not going to be an option for this foreseeable future. So if somebody can perhaps address my question about groundwater studies and whether there'll be a condition added. You don't have to answer that now, but maybe before the end of the hearing would be appreciated.
Council members, do you have any questions?
I have one more point though, as well. Because the other side of wastewater servicing is wastewater. And according to the planner's report, the RM's comments included one suggesting considering the installation of a gravity sewer upstream of the existing curb stops on Walter Street. And this requires an explanation, please, because there's nothing in the original system design suggesting this is a possibility. You have a document entitled Standards for the Design and Construction of Public Works, which covers protocols for the discharge of low pressure to gravity, but not the other way around. And I'm not an engineer, but I do know that it's not a simple matter to connect gravity to low pressure. You'd have to have a pump house or a wet well and presumably grinder pumps, which are not even an option according to our agreement with the City of Winnipeg. If you remember, Mayor Sewell, that was nixed right from the beginning. So property owners in the area probably would like to know the details behind this suggestion. The curb stops and the clean out at Walter Street is the beginning of a very long run that takes the wastewater all the way to Donald Road, and the pipes start out very small at 75 millimeters. So, and undoubtedly property owners downstream might be a little bit nervous about that suggestion. So if somebody could address that as well, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, council members, do you have any other questions? Well, there was a lady in the audience who didn't sign in. Could I get your name, please?
Oh, my name is Cheryl Oliveira. So I just hope that we're here to say this and we actually will be heard. And I think everybody made some really valid points in opposition. So my address is number 3. Just to put the lot size in perspective, I have 1.68 acres. And you see how the proposal is, 0.6 is the smallest. So how many houses can fit in my lot is the question. Yes, and I think the wildlife, the traffic, the water concerns, the wells, and 20 proposed, I just hope this can be rejigged.
You said you were at 3 Deer Rapids?
Yeah. Closest to Maine.
Okay, can you last name?
Oliveira. Oliveira.
Thank you. Council. Okay, do I have everybody sign in that was to speak? A question for Mr. Bell. Can you comment on the aquifer, and is there any assurance there would be enough water for if there were 20 individual wells without causing problems for the other?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I heard that I had a lot of comments on. So in terms of the capacity, like a single domestic water well generally doesn't have the hydraulic power to be creating a huge issue for a neighboring water well. It just doesn't have that kind of hydraulic capacity. So for one well to affect the other well like that, it's just, we didn't see anything that would cause that issue.
Is there enough water in that aquifer to service?
So the province hasn't assigned a capacity to the bedrock aquifer throughout, because it's an absolutely huge aquifer. The bedrock aquifer that we're talking about here runs from the Paw all the way through the Interlake down through Steinbach underneath Winnipeg. So the province has never assigned a capacity of it because it's just simply too large for them. So we have assigned capacities to some aquifers, but certainly not the bedrock aquifer.
Go ahead, Councilor.
In terms of the layers and depths of how that works, are you able to elaborate on that?
Yeah, some of the comments that were made about the deep mineral test hole, I'm a professional hydrogeologist. I found that kind of appalling that occurred. In the 1930s, there was some test work that was done south of the city of Winnipeg, and they penetrated through the bedrock aquifer and they hit the Winnipeg Formation, which is the sandstone aquifer. That's the one that everybody's talking about mining in the southeast right now. It's that beautiful sand that we see at Grand Beach. That aquifer in this area is saline, and it's quite saline, and the head pressure in it is a little bit higher than the head pressure in the bedrock formation that it underlies. So penetrating that is something that you need to do with very serious concern. And the story that I heard there, it's kind of appalling, really, that was allowed to occur. If I would have any concerns in this area, it was what had occurred on that gentleman's property. Anytime that you would drill to those kind of depths to get through the Winnipeg Formation, I've been in this business for 25 years. I've only drilled through the Winnipeg Formation in this area 2 or 3 times, and it has to be under very controlled circumstances because the head pressure is quite a bit higher. So if you were not expecting that, seems to be the story that I heard tonight. That's somewhat appalling to me.
That's not accurate.
So
it was the upper layers that they were, you could get there for that part.
you said 1,600 feet.
Okay, order.
Point of order. Yeah. So that's a bit of a surprise to me that would have occurred, but that's basically the issue in this area is the underlying sandstone is brackish. It's salty throughout the entire part of the basin. Some municipalities, we've recommended that there be restrictions on drilling anywhere near that. Certainly in this area, no driller would do that in their right minds, because it would be a significant cost for them to deal with that problem. Comment about the karst. We are in a karstic area. All of the bedrock is karst. This area, karst is a feature that developed from solution caverns in the bedrock, and it's present all throughout the basin. You see karst all over the place in this area. So that is not a shock to me at all. So.
Okay, council members, any other questions? Was Mr. Bell, is there anything else you could comment that came up by members?
Not really, no. I understand the concerns, the comment about the expanded groundwater investigations and studies. I would certainly welcome and support that. Anytime that we do things to try and enhance our knowledge of the hydrogeology is a good thing. St. Andrews has not had a great large investigation done other than what we did for the city of Selkirk. I think that was the largest regional investigation that has been done in this area since the province's work in the early 70s. So anytime that you can expand that knowledge, I would certainly welcome that. But we didn't see any concerns with just a number of wells being added from a hydraulic point of view.
Councillor Hunt?
Do you know what the average usage of a normal family is, water usage per day?
It depends on the house. The province's Water Rights Licensing Act does allow for up to 25,000 liters per day on the property, which is extremely large. Very few would get to that number. Most houses these days are typically like a half horse or a 1 horse pump or something, so 18 gallons a minute and less. But I don't know what the per capita water use in this area would be, but something you would see in Winnipeg would be like, I think it's like 250 liters per person per day. In areas on private water wells, that number tends to increase quite a bit. So Water Services Board has studies on that. I think we've seen as high as 500 liters per person per day. But generally speaking, people are becoming much more conserving of that, and those numbers are on the way down.
Deputy Mayor Murphy?
Yes, are you aware of any test wells that are located or operated by the provincial government in the arms of Rockwood, St. Paul, St. Andrews area?
Yeah, the province, our province was quite cutting edge with that, actually. We were probably one of the first groundwater hydrogeology departments of any government in Canada. It was formed in Manitoba in the early 1960s. And part of the impetus of that was the floodway construction. So when the floodway came through, there was obviously a lot of need to understand the hydrogeology quite a bit more. Hydrogeology was a major problem on the construction of the original floodway. So they put a whole bunch of observation wells in there, and the province felt the need to expand that. So our earliest observation wells in this province started in the early 1960s, and we have over 1,000. So it's a great resource for us when we look at things like when we would look at the capacity in this area, we look at those hydrographs and we compare that to the climate data just to see if there's any long-term progressive change. In this area, the hydrographs typically follow the climate and seasons. We don't see any progressive long-term change here. And the same goes with the water quality. We don't see those massive changes that the gentleman was referring to. I have no data that I've seen from any provincial observation station that supports that. So I'd be interested to see if he has data that I could look at, but we couldn't find anything for it.
And you've heard me mention before about Manitoba Rolling Mills of their water usage for evaporative cooling being in excess of 1 million gallons per day.
I think that was probably true at one point. Gerdau has been decreasing their annual take on the aquifer over the last number of years.
We did a tour there last year, and his comment was 1 million gallons per day at that time. And they used to use up to 2 million gallons a day.
Yeah,
things for evaporative cooling of the equipment, not the metal, but the equipment that rolls the metal.
Things in the city of Selkirk proper have changed quite a bit since the town quit pumping their wells. Things have recovered there, and we thought with the recovery that it would take a certain period of time, and the recovery occurred about twice as fast as what we anticipated. But the use there dramatically dropped. I mean, when they went to the new well field, it was a much more transmissive situation, so it was a far better result. So
Great, thank you. Council members, do you have any other questions for Mr. Gall? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, that's it for the hearings. Be resolved that council hereby close public hearings for the September 9th planning applications. Can I have a number, please? Councilor Slaker, seconder. Councilor Dornbos, all in favor? Councilor Slaker.
May I request a break? I need to go to the washroom.
Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Thank you. We're reconvening at 7:30 p.m. Yeah, now we'll do the resolutions for decision. Resolution for decision for conditional use 37-2025, 126 Sawchuk Drive. Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll number 318700 has made application for conditional use 37-2025 for the premises located at 126 Sawchuk Drive. The purpose is to operate a recreation commercial use micro wedding venue on the subject property. All the conditions were on the screen as well as read out by the planner. Condition number 10 will be amended to read, the wedding venue must include sanitary disposal services and cleaning stations. So that is just removing the words portable washrooms. So therefore be it resolved that conditional use 37-2025 be hereby approved by council with the conditions that were all read out. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Hunt?
I would move it with the removal of also condition number 11.
The date.
We've had that on prior ones, so this is an extension for, yeah.
No, we've never. We put a 2-year limit on it. And she's the one that asked for the 5 year, but we very seldom put limits on extensions on a conditional use.
So it's council agreement,
Yeah.
yeah, then she doesn't have to keep coming back to council. Okay, condition number 11 is removed. So you won't have to be reapplied. Again, you. Okay, Councillor Hunt, moved it, seconded by Councillor Doornbos. Any further comments? All in favor? That is carried. Carried on, good luck. Thank you, ladies. Agenda item number 4.7, decision for variation order 88-2025, number 9 Calder Road. Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll number 310-800, 310-875, and 310-850 has made application for variation order number 88-2025 for the premises described as Plan 6952. The purpose is the applicant proposes to reduce site area of 22 lots for subject property as a part of the conditions for subdivision application S243092. Now therefore be it resolved that variation order number 88-2025 be hereby approved by council with the following conditions. The two are the variance is limited to what has been presented in the application. Any further changes, replacement, or additions would require a new variance approval. Number 2, the applicant owner obtains all required permits from Red River Planning District, the province, and the municipality if required. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Slaker, seconder. Councillor Hunt. Any further comments by council? Again, this is just one of the conditions of the subdivision that was approved. Okay, all those in favor? Those opposed? Hearing none, that is carried. Thank you. Resolution for decisions for subdivision S253109, 326 River Road, Walpole Street. Whereas the applicant owner of tax roll numbers 26900, 27302, 27314 has made application for subdivision number S253109 for the premises described as river lots 56, 57, 58, Parish of St. Andrews, including Lot 3, Block 1, Plan 56375. The purpose is to subdivide the subject land of 8.83 acres, 5.01 acres, and 7.93 acres into a total of 24 lots, 20 residential, 1 public reserve, and 3 residual, with 2 cul-de-sacs proposed in the rural residential zone. Could I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Marecki, and seconded by Councillor Doornbos. Okay. Discussion by council? Well, if you want, I can go through my notes as we went through the hearing? Okay, all of the conditions are outlined. There's 11 conditions. 12 on my paper. Okay, there was a concern on flooding by one of the residents. Now that is addressed in item number 2A of the conditions. Applicant owner enters into a development agreement with the municipality to address items including but not limited to an engineered lot grade and drainage plan that ensures stormwater management post-development water runoff is equal to or less than pre-development. So there's an engineered drainage plan.
Is that just specific to the development or also to the affected properties around it?
That includes the whole area.
Okay.
Okay. The other concern raised was about access through on Deer Rapids. We've had in the past, and I don't know, Brady, if you could help with the condition to add in, there would be pros to province to have temporary access off of River Road. That was done on Rose Meadows.
In this case, Madam Mayor, it'd be Highway 9. Yeah.
Okay.
Utilizing the proposed public reserve as a temporary construction access. Now that's subject to approval from the province, but knowing that it would be a temporary access, I would hope that they would allow such for construction to go through that way and not affect the residential area.
Okay, and then a concern was raised about construction trucks, whatever vehicles used in construction vehicles, going on to Walter or Deer Rapids and ruining the roadway. Would council be okay with, because that was supposed to have been done years ago, that Walter Street was extended, that it's a short distance if the RM is responsible for opening up and upgrading that.
Yeah, RM is responsible
Okay.
to have that road built.
That makes perfect sense.
So we're responsible to run that if we want to Gusnowski?
We're
Make it more-
responsible for Walter to Gusnowski.
That should have been years ago. It's never done. So is that covered under the development agreement or is that a separate condition?
Right now, we have it written as condition 2O, road upgrades to Walter Street. However, that was to be determined at this meeting if that'd be a responsibility of the developer or the municipality. I just have my map open here and a quick reference. The flares that were tied in from Gusnowski Road East heading south on Walter Street to tie in to Walter Street as it exists between the two properties on Deer Rapids. Minimum distance is 250 feet. That would be a discussion at budget time for road upgrades, but knowing that existing piece of road, that should also be upgraded. So about a 500-foot road upgrade is what we'd be looking at to connect between the two, Gusnowski and Deer Rapids.
I think that's very important. That gives you two routes, right?
Okay, and then the other issue was the Eagles nest. Now that could be addressed in the development agreement or a separate condition.
Development agreement would be a good fit.
So that will be put into there.
Okay.
Because there's also in here, one of the copies is all other conditions deemed necessary by the RM, because all of that will be addressed in a development agreement.
Okay, so the development agreement, say just basically acknowledging that it's there, kind of working with the rules in place, is that?
I have one question. I've never seen this before. Under 2C, about the enters into development agreement with the municipality. Number C, an engineered sewer utility servicing plan. What is that?
It would illustrate the plan and profile of the sewer. So it would show just like a road plan and profile showing the proposed grade with curb stop installation locations and then proposed servicing up to the property line. But then from there, it would be for each individual homeowner to establish that connection from property line to their house. That part remains to be determined where the house is going to be set back, where it's located, things like that. But we'd want to see that for the grade on the plan to be reviewed by Peter, the director of infrastructure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councillor Feeblecorn?
I just had a couple on water. Which part of the conditions was for a water study? Don't we typically have that? as part of the, it's not in the conditions, but I don't see it here.
We should put it there.
And then as well as the fire department water source.
I thought I saw that was in here.
That's in there under
It's
E.
in-
So
Two E.
two Ps for the, fire department water source. Sorry, where was the water study?
two E.
Oh, that's
It
the
says,
fire
well, no, installation of a well and other suitable alternative.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
For the fire department. Doesn't have anything about a water feasibility study though.
No. On that is that, when the, from Friesen Drilling, there's from Friesen? Yeah, he mentioned that, I mean, should we be looking at some topics for second year, a regional study of our water? So that we don't run into these questions every time?
Well, I can't recall, is that an RM or is that a province provincial?
Well, conservation will, you'll have to get approval from conservation for water. You know, before they could put in wells, they have to be approved by the province.
The province always steps in on that, do they
Yeah.
not? Every time.
Yeah, they
The
have.
province has the final word on whether the development goes because of the water fight.
Well, they have to get the permits from them. Councilor Jordan.
Okay, well, my concern is twofold, I guess, and it's, one of it has to do with how, the planning department had recommended for rejection, and then I look again, you know, a couple of days later, and it's revised to an approval with the rezone. And I think that if we continue along this path of rezoning, or doing a variance to get down to where we need to be, it's going to be real difficult, and the residents aren't going to be happy about it. And I totally understand this because after 4 months of stress of dealing with the previous subdivisions, maybe we're going about this the wrong way, and that's how I feel about it. And I think Mrs. McKenzie had a great speech there about what should be done, and I believe this should be rezoned properly. And if it has to go to RA, then we rezone it as RA. It takes longer, but then we're doing it the proper way. That's just my thoughts on it.
Councilor Hunt?
So two things on that one. This subdivision's been in plan since for 5 years now, so to put some brakes on it, I think would be unrealistic. And it does have here in the condition number 5, owner applicant to apply for lot size variances as required. That's my comment on that. And on 2I, which is dedication of public lands not exceeding 10%, that's for municipality, not school division, right?
Correct. The school division has put in their own request for 10%.
But it's not in this resolution, though, is it?
It is,
Which
yeah.
one?
Number 10.
We should remove it like we.
Yeah, like we did before.
I would like that one. Where is it, number 10?
It's number 11, applicant owner dedicate land without compensation for school purposes.
Okay. I would like that one removed, as we have in the past on them.
But see, this has been added in now on here in this case. Of the land being subdivided according to Planning Act, section 135.60. Did they change the Planning Act to now include this?
No, it was included even before that, and they do have a right to ask for it, and as an addition to any other dedications that RM requires. So
what if council removes it?
they may object it.
We've removed it before. And if the subdivision wants, they could pursue it.
We removed
To this
the other
point,
one.
we've been removing it.
No.
Okay, so then we'll remove
I would like to
condition
remove.
number 11. Councilor Thiebaud.
So sorry, where was the condition for the water study? Is that part of the conditions?
We haven't put it in yet.
It could be part of the development agreement.
No, it's gotta be the government.
Because that seems to be what has been on.
Yeah, you're right. It's a provincial.
The provincial thing. Nobody develops until the province has their say about the water.
And also, I do agree about the rebuilding.
Well, while we're just back on the water, 2C, an engineer to your supervision. Oh, no, you explained that. That's not the Peters department.
That's right.
Number D is road upgrades to Walter by the RM. Fire department. And what was the wording, council people, when you were talking about
like a water or to the feasibility.
Yeah.
It's,
Potential feasibility.
yeah, it's usually a condition that's in the development agreements for the,
No, it's in
or
the
for the conditionals. Yeah.
Hydrological, sir.
Hydrological.
What is it normally?
We can negotiate it.
Oh. Okay, temporary existence, we've got everything covered. Any further, Councilor?
I just have a comment on the rezoning. I understand that we'll clean it up, but we're going through a zoning bylaw now. Like I said, this subdivision's been in the works with public hearings and or public consultations for 5 years now. And I think it's unfair to the developer at this point in time to say rezoning is required through the planning board, because even the planning board is changing their comments on the 11th hour. So it's something to look, and it will be corrected in the new zoning bylaw. But to tell the developer when they've come to the stage now of a subdivision application to say you have to rezone it, you know, I don't think it's fair to the developer. This is my comment.
Councilor?
Yeah, I want to talk about the rezoning as well. Like we know it's in development and we're going to be working on it. We have discussed this a little bit in the last 3 years. It's rearing its ugly head almost every single meeting, this development agreement or lack of a bylaw. I don't think we should be making hasty decisions again in approving anything without having the proper bylaws and input from us and the community and making these decisions. As far as I'm concerned, we're making these decisions hastily, and we know we need development in our municipality for tax purposes, and but there's a different way to go about this. And I don't agree with the development. I think the lots are too small, and we don't have a development bylaw that.
Well, I remember going to Landmark's open house with it. There was lots of people there. Right? Municipal.
That wasn't for this one, that was for Chiswick.
No, but before I became a counselor.
Just last year, there was a open house for this development.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, what was that?
Yeah, just last year there was open house for this development, and the planner had mentioned that, you know, that's why they changed some of the lot sizes on the north side of the subdivision.
Yeah.
And they changed the lots
They all
conform with Deer Rapids.
Right, yeah,
And
we did all go to that. Plus,
so
the landowner that has now contributed to this was just in the process of looking at doing that at that time. So obviously he jumped on board.
there was a virtual public consultation in 2020, I believe. Okay, and at that time virtual, and then the on-site one last year. And that's where the lot sizes changed on the north side of the development to the south side, north and the east side of it to match existing houses. But basically, everybody there was in favor, was okay with it.
Favor. Councilor Slaker?
I understand what you're saying about the zoning, and I hate to be I told you also, but I've been on this for 2 years now. And Andrews is way behind. But at the same time, as Councilor Hunt said, when people are in this room to develop, I think that I just don't feel that we have the right to stand in front of them. Do we need to get our butts in gear and get everything rezoned and get it up to date? Yes. Do I agree with Mrs. McKenzie that that's gonna be an easy task? Totally, I agree. But everything coming forward, we're moving. This is the most movement I've seen in this RM for a long time, but we have a long way to go. But, yeah.
Any further comment? Okay, so all of the, I'm just making notes, I know, well, it's all on recording, the conditions being added in. So we'll take the vote.
Number 11 is removed.
Yes, removing number 11 of school taxes. Number 7, there will be looking to temporary access from number 9 highway with the construction for temporary access off number 9. Road upgrades to Walter Street will be the responsibility of the RM. An engineered sewer utility servicing plan, that's Peter's department, and then everything else is covered under as required, conditions as required by the RM. Everybody's good with this?
Number 5 still needs to be determined what its readings of rezoning or variances.
Oh, number 5, applicant owner to apply for lot size and lot width variances as required.
I'm okay with number 5, as is in our package.
I'm fine too. Okay, anything else?
What about the birds? Are we gonna put anything in there for the protection of the trees and the birds around?
That's the development agreement that.
Yeah. Okay, ready for the vote? All those in favor? Those opposed? Okay, that matter is carried. Thank you. Now adoption of the minutes. Draft August 12th council meeting. Being resolved that council will adopt the August 12th, 2025 council meeting minutes. Could I have a motion, please? Councilor Slater, seconders. Now there has to be, there's, we've brought to our attention by the Mackenzies in an email. There is a typo. It's on page 2 of 14. Last paragraph, it says the following persons registered in opposition. It reads Jerry and Jackie Bailey. Jerry should be removed and replaced with him. That's a typing error. And there was also mentioned that there was no mention of the petition being filed. Lisa had checked with legal because that should have been presented at the very first hearing. So there is a notation in the minutes. A document was submitted that was previously received as information by council by email on June 6, 2025. And that is exactly what the lawyer legal has said within minutes. So it has the minutes be amended there. Are there any other further errors or omissions? All those in favor? That is unanimous. It is carried. Draft August 26th special meeting minutes. Be it resolved that council adopt the August 26, 2025 special council meeting minutes as presented. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Dornbos, seconder. Councillor Feeblecorn. All those in favor? That is unanimous. It's carried. We have no delegations, petitions, but no bylaws. Approval of accounts. Ratings off the council approved the September 5th, 2025 check detail report as presented. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Slanker, seconder. Councillor Mondor. Any comments? All in favor? That is carried. It's unanimous. Correspondence for action. Item 9.1. Be resolved that Mayor Sewell, Councillor Hunt, and Councillor Feeblecorn be authorized to attend the Interlake Tourism Association's annual general meeting, dinner and site tour being held September 18th, 2025 in Grosse Isle. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Mondor, seconded by Councillor Dornbos. All those in favor? Unanimous, that is carried. 9.2, Red River Basin Commission, North Chapter meeting. Be it resolved that be authorized to attend the RRBC North Chapter meeting being held September 18th in Dufresne. Is anyone, you'll be going? Well, you're on that committee. Okay, so that Councillor Mondor be authorized to attend. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Hunt, seconded by Councillor Dornbos. All in favor? That is carried. Okay, I don't have a resolution. 9.3, St. Andrews Community Club Capital Grant Change of Scope. All the documents are attached as well as their financials. Did admin, anybody want to speak to this? If there was anything additional, there's no resolution to be passed.
Sorry, I probably missed that resolution. I'm going to see if it's,
Because out of their capital money, their 50,000, they want to unlock the funds.
yeah, it's just a change of scope. This is. She has a longer resolution here, but I don't think, the resolution would read that the municipality approve the proposed amendment to the St. Andrews Community Club Capital Grant Project, and that the funds from the 2025 capital grant be used for the community club repairs, redesign, and purchases as required.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sliker, seconded by Councillor Dornbos. Any further questions or comments?
I just had a question about, like, reading the proposal. It talks about replacement of the boards and the glass and that kind of thing. Would there be any option to sell that stuff to like a reserve or someplace, some small community that can't afford to spend $50,000 on something like that? That we might be able to recoup some money back. Like, I know Pilot Mound, Manitoba bought a hockey rink from a reserve way up north because they couldn't afford to purchase a building. They took it apart and moved it over there, and with the boards and everything. So I'm thinking that there's probably somebody that might like to use that, and we could maybe recoup some of our costs.
See, that would be, I think, up to the board to be looking for someone to purchase it.
Because it'd be an awful waste to, like, I've skated there, and to me, it seems really decent. So I think someone could utilize that. We
Send an email to the new president of the community, because she's very nice. She was very nice lady. If that's
okay, so
that's just a question.
Suggestion. Yeah. Good idea. Okay. Yeah. So we're relying on you, Councilor Roger, to contact her?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So the mover was Councilor Sliker, seconded by Councilor Dornbos. All those in favor? Unanimous, that is carried. Correspondence from information. Anybody have any questions or comments about this? Delineating Sawchuk Community Foundation for Citizen of the Year nomination. If anybody knows of anybody in St. Andrews that should be considered for Citizen of the Year, just let me know. And letter. No old unfinished business, new business. RM Branding Review Committee. Ad hoc Review Committee. Okay, everyone's read the information. So I have a resolution, whereas the Council of the RM has approved funds in the 2025 financial plan to update the municipal logo and other branding materials to provide a professional, modern, and consistent image of the RM of St. Andrews. And whereas it is recommended that a small informal ad hoc committee be created to review new branding options for standardization of municipal communications and marketing materials, including logos, colors, fonts, images, and clothing. Therefore, be it resolved that so-and-so be appointed to the ad hoc branding committee to participate in branding decisions. And further, that the completed branding package will be brought back to council for final approval prior to implementation. So who would like to be on the ad hoc committee?
And me.
Councillor Thiebelkorn, I would suggest Councillor Dornbos, as this is his background.
I don't want to.
For costing?
Can't have anything to do with it.
Because I know a lot of people in the industry, and I wouldn't want to have any type of favoritism. If you want, you can. If you want to be on the committee, you can bounce stuff off me all day long, which is fine. I won't charge for it, whatever. So if there's anything that they need to know, I can help you. I wouldn't wanna be in conflict.
Right. Okay, I just thought because.
No, I know, I saw something's come up, I'm with you.
Counselor Slicker
Yeah, please.
or Counselor Hunt, did you have your hand up?
No, I was gonna nominate those two.
Okay, could I have a mover, please? Counselor Dornbos, seconder. Counselor Mondor, all in favor? Carried, unanimous. St. Andrews Fire Department, hiring of North Hall member. Be it resolved, the council approves the hiring of Nicholas Zawicki as a new member of the North Hall as recommended by the fire chief. Could I have a mover, please? Counselor Mondor, seconded by Counselor Hunt. All in favor? Unanimous, that is carried. Now we had an addition. Agenda item 12.3, committee of the whole cancellation. Be it resolved that council hereby cancel the September 15th, 2025 committee of the whole meeting. Could I have a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Maraki, seconded by Sir Dornbos. And the reason we admin discussed, the only thing on the agenda would be management reports. Okay. Everybody all in favor? That is unanimous and carried.
Can we still get the management reports?
Yeah, we'll get them as we have over the summer in our council pack, the next one. Deputy Mayor Maraki asked this to be added on. Be it resolved that whoever be authorized to attend the COPS volunteer appreciation event being held on Saturday, September 20th at the South Fire Hall. And you said that was between 2 and 4 o'clock.
Correct, yes.
Who would like to attend?
All 10.
Okay, who else would like to attend?
I'll be away.
I'm not gonna sign up, but I'm gonna try to swing by for sure.
Yeah, I'll try and drop by for a bit. I think I have something on that day.
You said between 2 and 4?
That's right, yeah.
So far, we don't.
And
I should be able to show up.
so that's Deputy Mayor Maraki, Mayor Sewell, Councillor Sliker, Councillor Dornbos. But if you can again just drop by, that's fine. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Hunt, seconded by Councillor Mondor, all in favor? Unanimous, that is carried. We have no in camera. Be it resolved that the council meeting be adjourned at 8:03 p.m. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Sliker, seconder. Deputy Mayor Maraki, all in favor? Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.